When we first decided on Sylvania Wilderness, I wasn't excited about the prospect. Wildfires were raging in Canada, and our usual crew had to back out at the last minute. Since we weren't sure if we were going to be able to do the trip safely on our own with the fires, let alone be allowed to cross the border, we began frantically searching for places to go in the Midwest, and settled on Sylvania. My enthusiasm for the trip had quickly waned, and going to a wilderness area that is incredibly popular, and usually booked solid throughout the summer, just didn't sound appealing compared to being out somewhere in the Canadian Shield, miles away from the nearest road, and watching the sun set over a lake that time seems to have forgotten. To make matters worse, we could only get a campsite at Sylvania on a weeknight due to booking so late in the season. We elected to go to Hodenpyle Dam for the first few nights of our trip and car camp. This would give us time to decide on what we needed to bring and needed to leave, as we had never done an extended camping trip in our 14.5-foot native Ultimates. As we began packing, I started to look over the map of the wilderness area. At first glance, Sylvania is mostly known as a hiking paradise, with well-maintained trails, designated campsites, and old-growth forests. There was a number of lakes big and small that looked promising, but I couldn't be sure. Add into that the special regulations for fishing, and I wasn't really excited about our prospects. I couldn't have been more wrong. We began our journey on Crooked Lake, which is essentially a chain of small lakes and ponds interconnected by channels that lead into the interior of the park. There's a few small cabins to your left at the launch of Crooked. Outside of these cabins and a few on the lakes at the extreme edges of the park, the lake shores are free of man-made structures. Entering into the first channel, you pass a sign marking the park's boundaries and enter into the past. The water is crystal clear, with weed beds lining the channel and laydowns interspersed along the shoreline, which is covered wall to wall with trees to the water's edge.
Isn't it in the far bay, Dad?
A very polite gift left by the previous campers, some birch bark, a couple pieces of wood. Our first couple of nights were at the Badger campsites on the southern end of Crooked Lake. This was an ideal campsite to be able to explore Sylvania Wilderness, as well as giving us a short paddle over to Mountain Lake where we would stay for the remainder of the trip. After getting camp set up, I decided to go out and try the night bite in the shallow bay next to camp. While the fish didn't want to come out and play, the moon did, making for a picturesque evening.
Here we go. Second day here on Crooked Lake. We are our campsite set up. Zach's going for a hike. I'm going to go out fishing and make water. It's supposed to rain tonight, so we got the rain fly up. Zach's down there getting on his kayak a few things. No, it's not Bigfoot, that's Zach. And here in the Sylvania Wilderness, we have the nice new Thunderbox. Up here on top of the hill, our campsite's down that way. So anyway, next to a Widowmaker that fell. Must be new, I think, though. It's a fresh hole. So we have a new one. Couldn't find it last night. But
At some point during the morning, I walked down to the lake to grab something from my kayak and heard some commotion in the water directly in front of the site. When I took my kayak out, I started fishing right away to see if my hunch was correct. I didn't have to wait long to get my answer.
woo!
Oh.
Just making water. The little different here, no rocky coastline to go down to get water, so you got to do it out in your kayak. Got the bottle hanging like a drip, using the coffee to fill it up with, and well, I dumped the coffee grounds out, and you know, you do what you got to do. It's a beautiful day out here in the lake. I'm gonna take a little video of it too, real quick here. But it's called Pygmy Boats, right?
Yeah.
And when did you build?
Made off of some designs I got off the internet.
Oh, this was a kit. Oh, the paddle, you mean?
Well, this is a kit.
Right.
The paddle was off of some plans I found on the internet. It's the design agrees with the boat in that it's about 1,000 years old. But it's actually, see, that's actually an airfoil.
Yeah.
It's not just a flat blade.
Yeah.
And
I put that on an airplane. Nah.
I read a thing one time that the two identical people in identical boats, one with a Greenland paddle and one with a Euro paddle.
Yeah.
Same time, same speed, same distance. The guy with the Greenland paddle will expand about 15% less energy. Covering the same ground at the same speed in the same boat. So.
Wow.
But,
Well, thanks for
love it.
Thanks for the information. Getting ready to head out for a hike over to Loon Lake and do some shore fishing from there. Kind of windy out today, so hopefully calm down tonight with some kayaking. Moving tomorrow to Mountain. Last night here on Crooked at Badger Campsite. Got the kayaks turned upside down. Nice area. I think Badger 2 is the better campsite, we discovered. So.
Day 2 was pretty slow for fishing other than the pike I lost in the morning, and I decided to walk down the trails to Loon Lake to see if it was worth us portaging in for the day to do a little fishing on day 3. While I didn't think it would be worth trying to portage both kayaks, it did look like it would make for a fun day trip, and after our slow fishing day on Crooked the previous day, we decided to hike over and check out the other campsites for our next trip to Sylvania. As I mentioned previously, Sylvania is pretty popular with backpackers, so the trails are fairly well maintained, and if you have a park map, it's very difficult to get lost. I like to refer to them as bougie portages. In some places, they became so wide they almost look like a highway through the forest. Luckily, this in no way diminishes the overall beauty of the land.
What's the name of this site?
Mallard. I can't remember if this is 2 or 1.
Place for preparing the food. This is on Loon Lake. Mallard 1. Beautiful lake, Loon Lake. And the Mallard 1 campsite. What's this one called? What's this one called?
Oh man, that feels so good. What'd you say? I said that feels so much better. It's so much warmer. Got about 8 smallmouth in front of me right now. I know, right? Junk still gets cold, but it's definitely a lot less of a paralyzing feeling. Those things, they fight so freaking hard. These pretty ones here. Oh! There's like 20 of them over here. Going. After a successful hour or so of fishing, we decided to head back and take the kayaks out before dark on Crooked Lake. The walk-in sights for loon were spectacular, so we were sure the paddle-in sights in the west end would be even better. Next time we came to Sylvania Wilderness, we made sure to spend a few days in this beautiful, deep, crystal-clear lake. It was more than worth the portage. You may remember that early on the second day a pike I had hooked got a little too close for comfort and very nearly ended my trip early. I'm happy to say that I survived unscathed and even got a little revenge.
All the best seats are in this corner here where the smoke goes, so at least we got a good fire going.
Hey! Got a bass! I got a fish! Got one, took me into the tree. So I just hooked one and it took me into the tree. You getting anything? Probably 26, 27. Had a big head. Yeah, to take a picture. It's not even that bad of a wind. How are you tired? You just woke up. Huh? Sounds like you need to start kayaking more. Get some roof racks for that thing and take it when you go out places. I'd do it all the time if I was you. I think I've caught more pike since I've been up here than all year. Pretty much. I don't really catch a lot of pike downstate for some reason. I catch a lot of bass, but not a lot of pike. You ready to go down to that next cove? Oh, come on. Are those all pine spores that are falling off right now, or are they just old leaves?
Here we are on the far end of southeast end of Crooked Lake. Getting ready to do the portage here over to Mountain Lake. These people have been sitting there for a while. They're probably having lunch at the portage, so we're gonna have to go up and push them out.
Oh, got one.
Did you lose them?
Pike pulled me into the tree.
Did you lose them?
Yes, I lost him. He pulled me into the tree.
That'll be ever recorded on this film.
What?
I was filming.
I know. I was super excited. I was like, oh, yeah, I got a fish on.
Oh well.
The portage to Mountain Lake from Crooked is short and uneventful. At probably less than 50 yards, the only reason you can't see the other lake is because there's a small rise in between the lakes.
Well, here we are on Mountain Lake. Different little bit of looks here. Just got on the portage over there. And we're going to go find the campsite.
We stayed at the Lynx Campsite on Crooked Lake. All the campsites in the Sylvania Wilderness are set far back from the shoreline to try and minimize any pollution entering the lakes. At 1,700 feet above sea level, it is one of the highest places in the Midwest. Due to this unique geographic feature, streams don't flow into Sylvania, they only flow out, making water purity a top priority of the Park Service.
Alrighty, here's our campsite on Mountain Lake. Just got her set up, getting ready to cook some food. Got the rain fly. Supposed to rain a little bit on Thursday night. A little bit of sun, doing the solar charging of the batteries. Gotta find the privy yet though.
It's up that hill, man.
Gotta run up that hill. Last campsite was the same way, up the hill. Well, we'll see. 2 nights here, then 1 night back on Crooked, then out. So 3 nights left back in Sylvania Wilderness. We need to go catch some fish.
Just had 2 hits. I lost a real good one right next to the boat. I don't know. Honestly, I think it might have only been holding the tail. That could have been wide too. Got one? Good one? Want a picture? What? Get a walleye? It's one of them brown guys. Whoa, one of them pretty brown guys. Oh, get back here. Get back here. Look at that eye. Mosquitoes are going crazy out here.
Did you bring any stuff?
I am, yeah.
You have bug spray?
Oh, yeah.
I left mine on shore.
Did you? Oh, I got a good one. I got a good fish out right now, Dad.
Well, I'm filming it right now.
So am I.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's cool. You can film it too. We'll have 2 views. We'll have 2 views. Oh man, I got him on my ultralite. Whew. Not yet. Oh, I lost him. Tried to horse him around the boat.
Just so I could video him, huh?
Huh?
So I could video him?
Not so I could get to him. These things fight hard. I gotta use my other arm to get them. This will definitely have to be a comeback trip in about 4 or 5 years. Yeah, I like it a lot. It's pretty unique. That'd be cool. I definitely have to go out for a couple days though. Bring the canoe. I'd want to paddle. It would just be like a crime to come out here and not do at least one night. Right behind you.
Beautiful night here on Mountain Lake. Catching some bass. Doesn't get much better than this. Another day in paradise. What a beautiful night here up on Mountain Lake. Me and son Zach fishing. He just caught a nice like 17-inch smallmouth. It's really great fishing under the moon. Got 2 nights here. And then we move back to Crooked Lake, then home. Might be a storm coming in, so we'll see what happens.
One of the few negatives about a Sylvania campsite, in addition to how far away the campsites are from the water's edge, is how far away the Thunderboxes are from the campsites. Make sure you scope out the pooping situation before it gets dark, or you could be in for an interesting midnight stroll. The wind was pretty much constant on our last day at Mountain Lake, and I decided to take a walk down the trail to East Bear Lake, located at the east end of Mountain. The hike in was pretty easy, although there was some evidence of a washout from a previous rain being repaired with stone. I took a couple of casts from shore at a good-looking log, and then headed back to the mountain to take the kayaks out with Dad. During our planning sessions for our trip, I noticed two small lakes connected to mountain by an even smaller creek channel on the north side of the lake. After we had portaged in, I paddled by this channel to see if it might be wide enough to fit our kayaks through, and thought it looked possible. Due to the wind making it difficult to fish mountain, we decided to take a chance and see if we could make it through the channel and into these smaller lakes to find some panfish for a quick dinner before we went out again on mountain to try the night bite. While we typically fish for and keep predator fish, due to the catch and release only restriction on bass and the single possession provision for all of the predator species, we each brought along a panfish rod so we could have a fish dinner on Mountain Lake. The one exception to these rules is Crooked Lake, which is regulated by State of Michigan fishing regulations.
Catching the bass.
There is a second channel that allows you to access Lillius Lake, which is the last lake in the chain and is right behind the bear campsites. It's a reasonably deep bowl and looked like it had some good potential. Just keep in mind, if you do come back here to announce yourself as the Thunderbox for one of the bear campsites is in full view of the lake.
Alright, here's a little lake attached to Mountain Lake. I think Lillius Lake is called. It's got some bass too, which aren't so bad. Anyway, Zach is over there. He's catching a bunch of bluegill. We're going to head into camp shortly, and he's got about 10 nice sized bluegill. Yeah, having a good time out here. Got one more night at this campsite at Mountain Lake, then we head to Crooked and then home the next day. So, well, here we're back on Lillius Lake, the first one, and we're getting ready to head out and go have some dinner. Just to get one last view here. Zach's trying to catch a few last bluegills over there. So, been a great day. Tomorrow's gonna be a little bit of rain, so we gotta move campsites, so it should be a challenge. But overall, it's been a great week. Well, we're catching the fish again tonight. Thursday night, last night on mountain. What a beautiful day. More beautiful evening on Mountain Lake. Couldn't ask for nicer weather. Although tomorrow's going to be, say, with the rain. We shall see. Anyway, I should be fishing. Zach professionally removing a hook. Soon to be on YouTube. That's a big one. Trying to make the decision to stay. It's going to rain today, on and off, or just slowly head out and drive home. Fire always changes the attitude a little bit.
Shortly after, while we were standing by the fire, the rain picked up and stuck around for most of the rest of the day. As we were already soaked and we'd be leaving the next day anyways, we decided to fish our way across the lake and then pack up and head home a little early. This ended up being the best day of fishing on the trip, but I couldn't get my camera out for most of it. For most of the fish this day we only have pictures, and for one possible personal best fish, we have no evidence at all. Just another legend to attribute to the wilderness.
Well, here we are at the end of our trip, where we started. Sylvania Wilderness, out of the entrance area. It's been a great trip. This is it. Life in a canoe. Or kayak, shall we say. And there we go. Sylvania Wilderness. We'll see you next time.